Tonight, economic slowdown. In the wake of a disappointing jobs report, small businesses struggle to keep the employees they already have, while young people face the worst summer job market in years.
People with masters trying to work at McDonald's, they're going to get hired before I do.
I'm Russ Mitchell. Also tonight, wrapping up the battle for Libya. Britain and France use attack helicopters for the first time in the fight against Muammar Gaddafi's regime. A controversial last refuge for chronic alcoholics, offering them a safe haven where they can sleep, eat, and drink. And picture perfect. Meet couples in China willing to spend several days and thousands of dollars to get the wedding portrait of their dreams.
This is the CBS Evening News with Russ Mitchell.
And good evening. We begin tonight with the latest on the economy and how it continues to hit Americans hard in the pocketbook and in the workplace from coast to coast. The latest numbers show the unemployment rate stands at 9.1%, with the pace of job growth slowing. When it comes to new jobs, 70% of those are coming from small businesses, but many of them are struggling just to hang on. Whit Johnson shows us a case in point in the small town of Scarborough, Maine.
In the unsettled race towards economic recovery, small businesses like Maine Indoor Karting can hardly keep up.
How close are you to that edge?
We're struggling every step of the way.
In 2003, owner Rick Snow chose his passion for cars over a lucrative career in financial consulting.
A lot invested here.
7 figures.
7 figures.
7 figures.
But since the recession, he's had fewer customers. Healthcare costs for his workers have soared by 56% in the last year. And just last month, he took another hit.
We paid $3.97 a gallon.
$4 a gallon.
Gas prices, $1 per gallon higher than the year before.
Not only do we have to pay more to fill the tanks on the go-karts, because of the higher cost, our customers aren't coming as much.
So Rick has had to cut his staff in half, from more than 40 employees at the start of his business down to 20 today. Rick's story is not unique.
It seems as though we are at the beginning of a slowdown, another throttling back in economic growth.
And Rick says the consumer is key to getting businesses back on track.
I think consumer confidence is the most important thing. We need customers. Don't give me another loan. Don't say we're going to drop your taxes. If we don't make any money, we're not paying taxes anyway.
Until that confidence grows, Rick won't hire the 5 to 8 more workers he needs. Instead, he's just trying to survive.
If we don't make ends meet, then I'll probably be looking for a job in September to try and make things up, so at least we can pay our mortgage and keep the house over our head.
It's that close.
It's that close.
Months away.
Months away.
And here in Washington, all eyes are on the White House and Congress as they look for solutions. But lately, when it comes to the economy, there's been more gridlock than legislation. Russ?
Whit Johnson at the White House. Thank you very much. Young people out looking for work this summer job season are finding the going rough, and the numbers seem to reflect that. The Labor Department says the unemployment rate for those ages 16 to 19 last month was more than 24%. Compare that to May of 2000, when the rate was less than 13%. Bill Whitaker has more from Los Angeles.
Looking for summer employment has become a full-time job for 19-year-old Anna Galindo.
I'm worried all the time. I'm worried because I have bills to pay.
Faced with mounting school bills, Anna has filled out countless applications, but so far the answer has been the same.
Well, at the moment we're not hiring, but we're just taking applications and we'll give you a call.
But the phone never rings. College sophomore John Reed Torres has been job hunting since last November. He says he's often competing with older workers and college grads for entry-level positions.
People with masters trying to work at McDonald's, they're going to get hired before I do.
The latest figures show California's unemployment rate among teenagers is more than 34%, nearly triple the state's overall unemployment rate. In cities such as Irvine, California, job fairs have been canceled because few companies have agreed to participate. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, it's not just the private sector turning young applicants away. In the past, LA teens, especially those from low-income neighborhoods, could count on getting summer jobs at city parks and pools. But this year, cuts in federal funding are putting a damper on those summer plans. Last summer, Los Angeles hired 16,000 young people. This summer, only 6,000 will land a city job.
We're going to have thousands and thousands of students that are going to be on the streets without an activity to do.
Instead of waiting to be hired, some teens are creating their own businesses. A year ago, while still a senior in high school, Joaquin Horton developed a line of toys made from pipe cleaners. The young entrepreneur has already earned about $1,000.
Age does not matter at all. Just go for it. If you're really passionate about something, do it.
As for Anna Galindo, she's still waiting for an employer
To tell me you're hired.
Otherwise, for teens with no jobs and no money, it could be one long, hot summer. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Without specifically mentioning the latest disappointing job numbers, President Obama, in his weekly media address, listed some of the factors he thinks are behind the economic slowdown.
Lately, it's high gas prices, the earthquake in Japan, and unease about the European fiscal situation. That's going to happen from time to time. There are going to be bumps on the road to recovery. We know that.
Republican presidential candidates have been firing back at the president's economic policies during a series of appearances at this weekend's Faith and Freedom Coalition Conference in Washington.
Did you hear what he said today about the 9.1% unemployed Americans? He said that's just a bump in the road. No, Mr. President, that's not a bump. That's Americans.
We have a president whose policies have failed, and he won't tell the people of the United States of America the truth about what it's really going to take to fix these problems.
And former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, who you just saw, says he will outline his economic plans in what he calls a major address on Tuesday. Turning overseas, a U.S. drone attack in Pakistan near the Afghan border yesterday is said to have killed Ilyas Kashmiri, a top al-Qaeda official and a possible successor to Osama bin Laden. The report comes from unnamed Pakistani intelligence officers and has not been officially confirmed. In the battle for Libya, Britain and France sent attack helicopters into the conflict for the very first time. Alan Pizzi in Tripoli has the latest on the power struggles that are raging all across the Middle East.
The first use of attack helicopters against forces loyal to Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi targeted military vehicles, a radar site, and an armed checkpoint near the oil city of Brega. The nighttime raid by 2 British Apache and 2 French Tigray helicopters was launched from a British warship operating close to the Libyan coast.
We're able to fly lower, slower, different munitions. It's an escalation, and I think, you know, we are committed to support and protect the civilians that Gaddafi is persecuting.
Rebels fighting in the western mountains have pushed to within 75 miles of the capital Tripoli, but now have to battle their way across open desert with long supply lines. Anti-government forces in Yemen have no such trouble. Pitched battles in the center of the capital Sana'a and other cities have killed nearly 200 people in the past 2 weeks. President Ali Abdullah Saleh was wounded when his palace was shelled and is reported to be seeking medical treatment in Saudi Arabia. Protesters in Syria continue to face fearful repression to demand the same of President Bashir al-Assad. Videos posted on social networking sites, which cannot be verified because foreign reporters are banned from Syria, claim hundreds of thousands turned out across the country on Friday and were met with tear gas and live ammunition. Anger has been fueled by video of the mutilated body of a 13-year-old boy who had been held by security police. And in Egypt, protesters are back on the streets demanding a second revolution, more reforms and a speedy trial for former President Hosni Mubarak and his top aides. Mubarak has already been charged with graft and the premeditated killing of protesters. But here in Libya, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi remains entrenched. Russ?
Let's talk about that, Alan. You say he remains entrenched, but what's the word on the street today? How long do people expect him to be able to remain in power?
Well, the answer to that is sort of how long's a piece of string. There are basically only 3 ways for Gaddafi to go. 1, he just gives up and leaves, which he says he won't do. 2, NATO actually kills him, whether on purpose or by accident. They say they're not actually trying to kill him. Or someone in his inner circle decides enough is enough, and they kill him. But Gaddafi hasn't survived 42 years without being cunning, and he's probably protected himself from those around him, Russ.
Alan Pizzi in Tripoli. Thank you. For more perspective on the turmoil in the Middle East, we were joined in Irvine, California by Robert Baer, a former CIA field operations officer with extensive experience in the region. Bob, good evening to you.
Good evening.
As we just heard from Alan Pizzi in his report, the military is still in charge in a lot of these places we're talking about. It makes people ask, what happened to the so-called Arab Spring? Is there an easy answer to that?
Well, I think we put too much hope into it at the beginning. We looked at it as, some sort of flowering of democracy in the Middle East, but that was never in the cards. What you see in all of these countries, from Egypt to Syria to Yemen, even to Libya, is the military is holding on for dear life, and they know how to hold on. They've got the tanks and they've got the guns, and they do not intend to turn that power over to the street or to any parliament. It's going to take a long time before that happens.
Bob, as time goes on, what are the challenges for the U.S. in the region, particularly in a place like Libya, where President Obama famously said that Muammar Gaddafi must go?
Well, the problem is what we're seeing in Libya is a civil war. This isn't truly a democratic movement. We're seeing the tribes fighting each other there. Gaddafi's head of one set, and the rebels are head of another. So it's a civil war, and the forces are equally balanced. And if we take a side, why are we taking that side, and what are we going to get out of it? And what we're really hoping for is that Gaddafi himself goes, but we're never going to settle that civil war on our terms.
Is it too optimistic for people who are hoping for an Arab summer to expect that to happen?
I think the Arab summer we're going to get, come Ramadan, the holy month, is going to be a very hot summer, and it's not going to look anything like an outbreak of democracy. There's going to be continued fighting in Yemen, in Syria, and probably Libya, too.
Bob Baer, joining us from Irvine, California. We thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you.
Former Secretary of State Lawrence Eagleburger died today at the age of 80. Appointed by the first President Bush in 1992, Eagleburger was the first Secretary of State to rise through the diplomatic ranks. Today, his predecessor, James Baker, called Eagleburger, quote, as good as they come, end quote. And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, hunting for the source of Europe's E. coli epidemic. Overseas, health officials in Germany say they are closing in on the origin of the vegetables that are responsible for the deadliest E. coli outbreak in modern times. 4 cases have now been reported in this country as well. In all, 2,100 people have been sickened by the bacteria, and at least 20 have died, mostly in Germany. Charlie D'Agata has more.
12-year-old Johannes Luca had to fight for his life after falling critically ill with the deadly E. coli bug. German doctors put him on a dialysis machine when his kidneys failed.
Schon viel besser.
I feel better now, he says, but when I sit up, I get dizzy. The World Health Organization says German investigators are now certain contaminated cucumbers, tomatoes, and/or lettuce are to blame for spreading the bacteria. Studies found 95% of those infected ate at least one of those raw vegetables. But they've yet to pinpoint where they came from. Almost all the sufferers spent time in northern Germany in May, including the 4 Americans who recently returned home. Suspicions have fallen on a festival in Hamburg, and investigators are searching for clues at a small restaurant after 17 people fell ill after eating there. Nearly 200 new cases have been reported in the last 2 days. And Germany's health minister warns the cause of the infection may still be active. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, London.
Almost 2.5 years after that incredible landing in New York's Hudson River, U.S. Airways Flight 1549 began its final voyage today. A flatbed truck is hauling the fuselage of the Airbus from a New Jersey warehouse to an aviation museum in Charlotte. It is expected to arrive late next week. And just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, a controversial safe house for alcoholics. Nearly 18 million Americans have problems with alcohol. This according to the National Institutes of Health. And for men who have tried and failed to shake their addiction, one program offers a controversial approach. And that's tonight's Weekend Journal, an alcoholism safe house where you can find alcohol.
I'm a chronic alcoholic.
Ricky is 47 years old and has been drinking for 33 years. Yet he considers himself a lucky man.
Where were you living before you came here?
Underneath Penn Avenue Bridge.
In this quiet corner of St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Anthony residence is the last refuge for men who have repeatedly lost their battle with the bottle. But here, it is always 5 o'clock.
Here we have a place designed for them to drink, and they've cut down considerably.
Program manager Bill Hockenberger looks after the basic needs of 60 men. They get a safe place to sleep, 3 meals daily, and $89 a month, spent mostly on alcohol.
If I don't want to quit, you're not going to be able to stop me.
Tell me why you think this is a good idea.
Well, it's better than us all on the streets getting drunk, getting hit by cars, getting beat up.
Sober himself for 16 years, Hockenberger understands the disease, the shakes, the seizures, the battle.
Maybe I can ride up with you or get you over in that direction.
Okay.
I've seen things through their eyes, and I know what these men been through, and I know where they're at today.
In and out of 12-step programs and hundreds of detoxes, these men have to prove their failures in order to get in. But rather than reinforce failure, the philosophy here is harm reduction. They drink less, they're fed, they're safe.
The guys that walk in the door here has pretty much had their last fight.
Paid for by Catholic Charities and the state of Minnesota, supporters say enabling this population to drink is economical.
From a taxpayer perspective, it makes tremendous common sense.
St. Anthony costs $49 per man per day versus $200 a night. In a detox, $1,500 for every ambulance ride and $500 per night in the hospital.
Sometimes it doesn't work out for people. People do die there. They experience the last stages of their alcoholism, but they do it with dignity.
But critics say these men should not be written off. In a statement, Hazelden Treatment Center's director William Moyer says even if the alcoholic doesn't want help, it doesn't mean the drinking should be condoned or in any other way enabled or facilitated.
I stand firm on what I do here. Nobody's come up with a better solution.
Treatment is always available to people who want it. And sometimes someone does put the bottle down.
I was tired and I needed to quit.
Richard Fisher, who has lived at St. Anthony's for 2 years, says he's been sober for 18 months and is looking for job training.
Yeah, it's a big world out here. I'd definitely like to get back into the workforce. I'm not counting myself out. I feel like I still have a little gas left in the tank, you know.
These are the men that people seem to turn their head walking down the street. These are the people that they won't make eye contact with. These are the men that come here with broken hearts. It's a humane thing to do.
St. Anthony is one of at least 2 so-called wet houses in the United States. The idea is now being considered in other cities as well. And still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the wedding photo boom in China. And finally this evening, of course, June is the traditional month for big weddings. And as Celia Hatton in Beijing tells us, it's not just American couples who pull out all the stops.
After picking the perfect dress and experiencing a full pre-wedding makeover, Beijing bride Yan Fen is finally ready for her big day, posing for the camera. In China, couples say cheese in elaborate photo shoots months before formally saying, "I do." It's a romantic rite of passage that demands days of effort, multiple costume changes, and a hefty budget, ranging from $500 to tens of thousands of dollars, in a country where the net urban income averages less than $250 a month. Taking photos is on the same level as the wedding itself, explains this young bride. For decades, Chinese couples marked their marriages with a single solemn snapshot. Now, few formal photos are taken the day couples tie the knot. Instead, studio photography plays a key role in China's booming $63 billion wedding industry, explains website entrepreneur Guo Yingli.
It has to do with just how quickly China is opening up. And it's directly related to the fact that they have a lot more money than they used to before.
And in this money-fueled world of make-believe, anything's possible. From jetting off on a stationary speedboat to traveling back in time to imperial China or 17th century France.
In the West, wedding photos often capture real moments in time, but Chinese photos are carefully crafted so couples can enact their romantic fantasies.
Those who can afford it fly to exotic destinations like China's southern island of Hainan, not for a honeymoon, but for the vogue shoot of their dreams. You need to get a certain look in their eyes, explains photographer Qin Leiqin. If you're just documenting a pose, you're not doing a good job. Whether that look of love will lead to a lasting partnership is impossible to predict. But at least in China, all marriages start picture perfect. Celia Hatton, CBS News, Beijing.
And that is the CBS Evening News. Later on CBS, 48 Hours Mystery. Thanks for joining us this Saturday evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, CBS News in New York. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good night.
What's bugging us? Bed bugs are back. Plus, comedian Chris Rock rocking Broadway.
This is like the acting school I never got to go to.
This Sunday morning.
On television, online, on the go, and now free on iPad. CBS News.